name is Bashir Malik, and this is my story. I was born in Rawalpindi, and I was born in 1935, a long time ago. And life in Pakistan was very sort of relaxed, very relaxed, and quite a chalk and cheese, life in Britain and there. After education, I was working for Ministry of Defense. I was working in one department, and then after that, I was promoted to supervisor cum inspector. So it was one of my duties were that whatever product bought for army purpose, army soldiers' clothing, I was one of the inspectors to go to various factories and mills who were given orders to manufacture those things. Before I left, my commanding officer asked me to come to his house, and I was surprised why he's calling me to his house. So when I went to see him in his house, he said, I would like to give you some advice before you go there. And one of the advice was, do not eat garlic when you get there. I said, well, why is that? He said, odor of the garlic is pretty awful when you will be dealing with British people. So that was one. And then at the same time, he said, dressed up as you dress here, even if you are going to post a letter. Don't just go out in your slippers or gown to post it. In those days, there's only communication system was only writing letters, and so always dressed up like that. So, and then he said, I want to advise you that you are ambassador of Islam. Second, you are ambassador of Pakistan. So, if you do anything wrong, that Pakistan will be blamed. I left in September 1961, went to Blackburn and stayed there for 3 nights in YMCA. And those people in YMCA was quite surprised that a Paki at the time came here and booked and stayed here for so long. I didn't know what to do because it was all textile area. Yorkshire was all textile area. So I moved to Birmingham. There I hired a room, and it was belonged to a Pakistani landlord. I went to the doctor next day or after 2 days. And by the time I got to the doctor, when I went to see him, he asked me why did I come there and so on. So I told him. And at the same time, I was a bit upset as well. So he said, don't worry about it. So he called his secretary and said, listen, Dorothy, if Mr. Malik comes to see me for anything, don't hesitate to bring him straight away. Don't let him wait in the waiting room. Okay? So I was a bit encouraged. And at the same time, he said, come back tomorrow and I'll get you a letter and get you a job. So I told him why did I come and so on. So he said, have you got any job? I said, no. So he said, I will do that for you. So next day I went and he gave me a letter to go to the nearest medical college, which is Selly Oak, at Queen Elizabeth Hospital. So I went there, and they were in the medical side where they do the research on the animals and dogs, cats, and rabbits, mice, and so on. And of course, I never had any experience of touching any animals like that in my life. And I was a bit hesitant and all that sort of thing. So I told the gentleman who was taking my interviews, I said, I'm sorry, I don't think so I will come back. I don't think so I'm the capable person to do this job. So he said, well, it's up to you. Make up your mind if you want to come. And then I went to see the Dr. Rennell, and I told him that, Doctor, thank you very much for your kindness, but unfortunately, I won't be able to do that job because it's beyond my capacity. I never. So he said, don't worry. So he said, come back tomorrow. So I went back again, and he gave me a letter to another university department, which was electrical engineering department. So I managed to get there, and they gave me a job as a technician there. To my surprise, I got a job as a production clerk in a Lucas industry. It was a very well-known industry in Midland. They used to manufacture headlights, dynamos, and rear lights, and so on and so forth. So, to my surprise, I was white collar among the whole Asian working there. We had it was so much segregation that if you are a white collar, you have a separate restaurant where you eat, and you have a separate car park. That much segregation. So we had the 3 different dining areas for the working class, staff, and then directors. So on the top of each other. But the prejudice was there. The very first day when I was given this job, the person I was going to take over the job, he was very abusive. Very, very abusive. I will never forget those words. So I went to the personnel and I told them that this is Tom told me these sort of things. So he said, they then took any action, but action was only that they said, well, don't worry, and this and that. So they sent me to another smaller outlet of their concern, which was Austin in Birmingham. And there I was going to share an office with another elderly lady, and she was prejudiced as well, very prejudiced. So I smelled out that I have to put up with these people. So then gradually, I managed to build the relationship with those people, thank God, because I could understand what they were saying to me and what I was saying to them. So when I start saying, good morning, Dorothy, good morning, Leslie, so on and so forth, they become very friendly, and I work with them. One of friend who I met in Birmingham, in fact, we used to live together, and I got him a job in my office as a clerk, and he moved back. He used to live in Scotland, in Glasgow, and he asked me to come over to see him. And I did come, and I saw a bit of Glasgow, a bit of Edinburgh, and I really like Scotland very much, you know. And so he said, why don't you move up here? We'll try to get you, not the job, the business, you know. So at that stage, I got the Scotsman, and I used to get it in Birmingham and start looking for opportunities in the business. And I managed to look one particular business in Edinburgh. One day, one of my local customers in Morningside, he said, his name was Douglas Corbon, and Douglas, he said to me, Bashir, what's wrong with you today? You're not the same. I used to wait for him to come from office. I never asked him what was he doing, but he was a regular customer, and I used to wait for 10-15 minutes for him to come, and he became a sort of friendly sort of person. And he said, "You're not the same today." I said, "Yes." Why? I said, "I've been to my bank and I asked them some more money, help, and they refused me. They have a very good reason that I was getting some my relation from Pakistan to marry my daughters, and so they refused. Reason that how would they manage the business if they come from that part of the world? You will be running this business, and they will be running that business. So are really taking risk. So he said, "Don't worry." I said, "What do you mean by don't worry?" He said, "Don't worry at all. Just go and relax yourself." So next day he sent one of his managers, and he said, "Douglas Carbon send me to you, and what is your requirement?" So I said, "I need £40,000. He said, £40,000? No problem." I said, "What do you mean, no problem?" He said, "Douglas Carbon said to us that any amount he needs, give it to him." Since I started doing the business, I was not putting too much time or giving preference to my prayers. And other day I was told by Imam that is also debt. So you can pay it, all other debts, money, this and that, but this debt, you have to pay it. So for that debt, I'm eager to pay that back somehow, either kindness or to poor people. So I could, when I face Almighty. So my advice to all those people, that by all means do work hard, but spare some time for your prayers and do some good deeds. That will be for future when you are in the grave. That's the last message.